Rarely has mankind hesitated to eradicate the creatures that stand in the path of his conquest. If we find ritual extirpation, undesirable ladies of another world, the rest must be destroyed. Is it possible that our dark past? Watch them and pray.
Greetings, ladies, gentlemen, government agents, bluegrass band members, and anybody who might be listening. This is Close Encounters at the Podcast Kind. I'm your host, Tasker, and we have our other host over here doing very questionable things in the woods, Nick.
Okay, guys, really quick, before they get me, I want to let you know what's been pissing me off lately.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so I watched a documentary about the KKK, right?
Don't like where this is going, but okay.
No, it's good. It's good. It's good where it's going. You know what really pisses me off about them, besides the whole, their ideology?
What?
The fact that they call themselves really dope names and that I can't use those names anymore. Do you know that a leader of like one of the groups is called a Grand Wizard?
I actually did know that because some kid in my middle school, his dad was a Grand Wizard.
I'm sure he was. And did you know that the top bodyguard for the Grand Wizard is called a Grand Nighthawk or something like that? Sick. But you know what? I can't use those names. I can't use those names on Blizzard. Like I can't change my username to that because everybody in Overwatch is going to be like, oh, so you're a big KKK guy, huh?
Yeah, it is kind of unfair. I feel like the Nazis were similar to that too, where like they got a lot of like really cool imagery and made it like super not cool, and like now nobody can use it. You can't even use it in your D&D campaigns. Like the swastika, wasn't that like Hindu? Like it was supposed to be like a sign for like something like
it's from a bunch of different cultures that all use it for benevolent purposes, including the Scandinavian ones. But guess what? They got a hold of it. Now we can't use it anymore.
Yeah, it is pretty disappointing. And this is why evil in the world needs to be squashed. Not because of the human rights violations, but so Nick can have a better screen name on his Blizzard account.
I don't want to say I'm selfish, but I'd be killing two birds with one stone if I was to take down the KKK. But I'd be helping out our brothers. No,
I mean, I guess it's not that. I guess depending on who listens to it, I guess that could be not that bad.
Yeah, see, two birds, one stone.
Yeah, good for you, Nick. I'm glad you're
doing my part.
So much character development lately. You're really shaping out to be a fighter for the freedoms of all peoples on the planet.
I'm a regular SJ-dub.
Yeah, good. I'm happy for you in a way, but okay. How about we go to horoscopes?
Okay, all right. I'll go first this time.
Okay.
Someone who interests you could seem to be showing interest in someone else. Oh, man.
Uh-oh.
It's
divorce in your future?
Yeah, maybe. This might arouse your insecurities and cause a bit of jealousy. Don't make yourself crazy, Cancer. Mm-hmm. All may not be as it seems. Try to discern the facts. Invitations to do more than one thing on the same night might force you to make an uncomfortable choice. Make the one that suits you best. Huh.
Curious. Anything that might be?
No, I'm not really. I'm not showing interest in anybody, but definitely not showing interest in me. So that's right.
When's the last time you showed true interest in anybody?
I think when I really got into cooking and I was watching a bunch of Gordon Ramsay videos, probably then.
Okay, respectable.
All right, what's your say?
Let's see. Some important plans, perhaps involving a vacation or education, could be temporarily blocked by circumstances beyond your control, Scorpio. This can make you upset and might even set your temper on edge. You may be tempted to take out your frustrations on others. It would be more productive and challenging to find ways to make your plans work, even if they are delayed. Well, I mean, I graduated, and I also don't have any vacation plans at all. I mean, the biggest vacation I have is driving down to the grocery store to pick myself a bottle of whiskey.
And there's nothing that's gonna stop that, right? There's nothing coming your way that you think you can think of.
Not really. I mean, like, my car's broken, but like I have another means of getting there, and I mean, I could walk there if I really wanted to. So it's like, well, yeah, but that would be difficult. That would be very difficult to walk there, and that would be very frustrating. And like they say, it may be better to take it out on other people than it is to walk to the grocery store.
Yes, always project.
Yeah, you're right. This is it's healthy in a way. You just got to make sure no witnesses.
Exactly. Well, everybody out there, hello and welcome back to the show that, by the way, let me remind you, is the brainchild of two man babies that you're talking to or that you're listening to right now.
This is accurate.
On today's episode, we will be going over the Kelly-Hopkinsville incident, also known as the Hopkinsville Goblins incident. And now this horrifying story about two families who were allegedly terrorized by what seemed to be extraterrestrial beings throughout the night. Without further delay, grab your pitchforks and your shotguns, because we are going to Kentucky, and let's dive right in.
Yeah, see, I don't know anything about this. I didn't want to know anything about this. I think this thing is so goblin story, trolls and all that shit is, to me, it's great in fiction, but like any sort of story of surrounding these creatures based in reality, to me, is just some of the dumbest bullshit I have ever heard. So I don't know anything about this. I'm going in completely dry. I don't know what the hell Nick's going to be talking about. So are you going to prove me wrong today, or am I just going to sit here and just put you on mute and let you do your thing?
Well, okay, let me stop you there.
What?
Because technically this isn't about goblins. It's about extraterrestrial beings who look like goblins, which we'll get into.
So it's not even a goblin story.
Because they look like goblins.
Well, then there goes all my Goblin Slayer references.
Yes, I got out of it. I you know what? I was one step ahead of you this time. I was playing 40 chess to get out of those anime references for once.
That's right, because last episode, I kind of had you pinned for a little bit. Like, I threw you on the that's what you get for not reading the outline too closely, man.
Yeah, you know what? Whenever you get to do a part of the outline, I got to start reading it more. That's what I learned from last time. So from now on, I'll be looking at it like a vulture looking for scraps, dude.
And we start the episode and suddenly I just pause. You're like, what's wrong? I was like, half of my outline's gone. You're like, yeah.
It's in my trash.
Oh man. Well, we'll see. I think I can figure out, like, I mean, I'm blowing my cover here by saying it, but I just thought it'd be funny. What if I typed in all my anime references, but they're all just in like white font and have it in between the double spaces, so it just looks invisible?
Now I have to check for that too. Now you're making me do a bunch of administrative work that I don't want to do.
Yeah, you like good. You don't, y'all folks at home don't even realize how much I have to fucking edit some of the shit Nick says that would like get us off the air more so than usual.
That's true. It's been bad lately. Sorry.
Oh man, but actually, I don't know. Is actually a red herring? Is actually everything unedited completely? We don't know. It's movie magic.
You'll never know. You'll never know until we start doing live shows, and then you'll all want your money back.
Yeah, because as we just start like awkwardly like sputtering through, and like you realize half the show is us just like fucking up and not knowing what we're doing.
Yeah, with terrible racist jokes too.
It's actually this is actually all like AI with like we just get like input the outline and then it spits it out in our voices.
Exactly. Yeah, that's where technology's gone.
It's pretty good. It's really handy. Saves us a ton of work.
Absolutely. Well, first with the story, let's first establish a bit of setting and background about the event itself. Now we're going to travel all the way back to August 21st, 1955.
The 50s.
Oh, the 50s, yes. Speaking of the 50s, I just finished playing Destroy All Humans. It was fantastic remake. All 40 achievements.
Wow.
I have no life. I had to get it done before I started work again, so I did it.
That's right, because there's the rare times in your life you were actually in between jobs and had time to play a video game.
It was incredible. So that was in the 50s too, and with aliens.
How many times did you nut?
And
it also, and it counts too if you didn't use your hands, because I know when you did like your first cow abduction in that game, like it was just like just white lightning all across the room.
About 4 times a day playing that game.
Oh, good. That sounds actually pretty healthy.
Thank you. Yeah, my prostate's happy.
Yeah, exactly. Might even added an extra year to your life.
Yeah, that was the whole plan. All right, well, the location was an area known as Christian County in Kentucky, the bluegrass state, one of my favorite genres of movie. Music.
I was gonna make fun of it, but nope. I'm good.
You're not gonna make fun of bluegrass?
Oh, you want me to? Yeah, fucking bluegrass, country, any sort of like music that involves like talking about trucks and beer and what's that fucking bullshit where he's like, maybe lock them doors and do blah blah blah
yeah,
blah.
That's a great song.
It's fucking stupid. Like this whole genre is just. The thing about country music is it is one of those you either absolutely love it or you absolutely hate it. And Nick absolutely loves it, and I absolutely hate it. It's just I don't like it. It's not fun for me to listen to.
It's good music to dip to.
Well, yeah, but last time and the only time I ever dipped, I felt really high really quickly and then promptly threw it up because it turns out that's like pure tobacco bullshit. Oh, yeah. And I'm not like a smoker or anything.
Yeah, buddy, those were the good old days.
That was fun. Yeah, it was an experience that I would never do again.
The specific town in which the event took place was called Kelly, and it was just outside of Hopkinsville, hence the name of the incident, the Kelly-Hopkinsville incident.
Uncanny.
Yes, and as far as who was involved, we have two different families here. The first being the Sutton family, consisting of Elmer, a.k.a. Lucky, Glennie, which was his mother and the matriarch of the family, her two older sons, and their wives, and the three younger children being ages 12, 10, and 7. Then we have the second family, the Taylors, just being Billy Ray and his wife, June.
Isn't that crazy how just like give or take 100 years ago, living at home, like with your family and like your wife and stuff was completely normal?
It was completely normal and it's becoming normal again.
Yeah, we are definitely regressing back to that. But like, you know, it was I think actually that tradition started of moving out of the house was, I think it was after World War II or it was after we won the war and it became this huge thing of like, we're such a rich ass country because we just like slaughtered everybody and made a bunch of money on the war effort that like, no, you should move out and get your own house. You should move out and and the whole city living, the Hollywood living and stuff like that. And like, but yeah, actually for the majority of human history, staying in the family home and bringing like your wives and your stuff with you, like that was the normal thing. It was weird if you moved out actually.
Yeah, they're like, hey, where do you think you're going?
You got it. But also you were just tending a farm and all the hands were very helpful.
Yeah, I got to feed them hogs, man.
Yeah, nowadays you can't just have a home full of Twitch streamers and writers and stuff.
Disgusting, dude. Everybody's aspirations to be a Twitch streamer pisses me off.
Didn't you try to Twitch stream?
I did, but I didn't do it to get famous. I did it to play World of Warcraft.
Ah, yeah, and have a good excuse to if people are giving you shit. It's like, Nick, you're playing WoW too much. You're like, no, I'm trying to build my career. Yep.
I'm building a career. That was my beard, but I didn't do it to get famous, and I didn't do it to show my titties. All right, so
yeah, and plus too, knowing you would definitely get swatted.
Oh, easily. I would say something, and boom, that would be my career. That would be my everything. So I don't do that anymore.
Yeah, well, good for you. I'm glad you've grown past your Twitch phase.
Thank you. And now that we have some background out of the way, you know what? I realized this while writing the outline. I set this up like some kind of weird screenplay where I give like a location and stuff. It's fine. Whatever, guys. Look, I'm a theater nerd at heart, right? I took theater for like 7 years in high school. Because I was
really
there for 7 years.
Yeah, I know there's a Dazed and Confused reference in there.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Absolutely disgusting.
So yes, I did set up the outline like a screenplay, but now let's get into the actual story itself. So on that night in August 1955, Billy Ray and June decided to come join the Suttons for dinner. You see, the Taylors used to live in Kelly, but they had moved on since and were living in Pennsylvania at the time. And since they were in town, they thought it would be a good idea to catch up with the Suttons. Well, as it got dark outside, Billy Ray went outside to fetch water from the well in the yard because, big shocker, there was no indoor plumbing in a house located in Kentucky in 1955. Wow.
What if, do they still have no plumbing?
Yeah. They're like, gosh darn it, I can't wait to get me one of them toilets, boy. I'm not even have to walk out of the house to take a shit no more.
I wonder if all the Kentucky bourbon distilleries are like, they're hogging it all for themselves and stuff. And just like, because they're the only ones probably making fat stacks. I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't live in Kentucky. It might be very prosperous out there. And they're the ones laughing at us, or no, me, because I live in California and apartments basically cost all your life savings and you're left nut.
Yeah, but in Kentucky, just being a citizen there costs you most of your teeth. So
it's a different world, I'm sure. And I also heard that though they make most bourbon, I think it's like you can't even like buy it there. It's like illegal to like buy or something like that.
Yeah, it's a dry state, and so but they make the best whiskey in a dry state.
That's so. Oh, the irony is not lost on me.
Isn't that weird? I watched a documentary on bourbon, and they were talking about that when they visited the Jack Daniel's distillery. Man, I'm like, what a shame, dude. It's like so close, yet so far.
Yeah. Well, also, too, that's probably the only thing keeping the state together because, dude, imagine if they were not a dry state. Everyone's just like, and you know, where Jack Daniel's is made. I have heard a lot of people have a lot of very colorful stories on Jack Daniel's, though. I got to say, both of us, I think we've had pretty damn good experiences with Jack Daniel's.
Only good experiences.
Yeah, but I feel like there's most people I talk to like, oh yeah, I don't drink Jack anymore. Like, man, I've had so much bullshit happen to me. I'm like, I don't know. But long story short, if that is true, and that we're just the outliers, like we're like the ones in the zombie apocalypse that have the immunity while everybody else is getting fucked with Jack Daniels. So I wonder if maybe that's why they made it a dry state, because if they could all drink Jack Daniels right from the source and get that, like, you know, right out of the cask, like not watered down, like 60% version of it, I just think Kentucky would just cease to exist. Like, I think they would just drink themselves to death.
Yeah, they're already hanging on by a thread as it is.
Who knows? If you're from Kentucky and you're listening, tell us how right or how wrong we might be. That would be, it's good to know.
Exactly. Well, when Billy Ray went outside to get the water, he looked up into the sky and noticed a moving light, which he described as, quote, real bright with the exhaust all colors of the rainbow, unquote. That's what it sounded like.
I'm loving the voice.
Thank you. And now, before running inside to tell the other 10 people in the house what he had just seen, he observed that whatever it was in the sky seemed to land somewhere in the property behind their house in the woods. It's getting creepy.
Oh man, yeah, we're hitting. You're right. This is getting screenplay territory.
Yes, thank you. I try my best. Yes. Naturally, Billy ran inside and, in a half-panicked, half-excited state, began telling the others about the object in the sky. But of course, not one of those God-fearing white people believed.
I realistically, if I was in this situation, I would be one of those like, how do you talk in that accent?
I don't. It just comes to me, man. Maybe I was born in the southern states or Kentucky or something.
Yeah. It's somewhere in your blood, and that's where it's resurfaced, which is surprising because you're Asian and Hawaiian.
Yeah, but I'm a chameleon. I don't have my own personality, so I have to adopt other people's accents. You know what I mean?
I see. It's kind of like the actually, no, I was going to make an anime reference, but I just realized it would be a really fat spoiler to anybody who hasn't seen it, who probably you should see Full Metal Alchemist. Just saying.
I don't know if our listeners watch anime.
There's got to be at least one out there.
There's at least one.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm talking to him or her or they. I don't know.
No, don't even bring the they into this, dude. Let's not even go there.
Hey man, you take the yin and I'll take the yang. I think that was wrong, but you get what I mean.
I know what you mean. All right, fine. We'll drop it. We don't want to get into a discussion about gender fluidity. Not with me. All right.
That's a correct assumption.
So Billy Ray dropped the subject after nobody believed him and tried to forget about it. But it wasn't long until they all heard the Sutton family dog out back just freaking out, making all kinds of commotion. Which, sounds like something a dog should do, right? If somebody's like trying to break into your house.
Yeah, and that's kind of like, I mean, dogs bark and go crazy all the time, but I know there's like a very specific when they're just like losing their shit. And usually, because they say animals can sense when like a natural disaster is about to happen, or like some shit's about to go down, or like I don't know. So yeah, cause for alarm. And I'm sure, I bet in Kentucky that, as far as I know, they seem to be a bit of a not superstitious people, but they seem to type to listen to their animals.
Absolutely. And that being said, being a rural area in 1955 Kentucky, both Billy Ray and Lucky grabbed their shotguns and headed outside, prepared to deal with whatever might have been bothering the dog. When they got into the backyard, the two men noticed a small, bright glow coming out of the woods and into their direction. And as it got closer, they observed it. Okay, let me redo that.
As they got closer, they observed it. The end.
As it got closer, they observed
Cold reads are hard, man.
That was beautiful. All right. Okay. As it got closer, they observed that it was a 3-foot tall silver creature with its arms raised over its head as if it was trying to surrender, which is weird enough, but it also appeared to be floating toward them and not too far from the ground. So maybe less than a foot off the ground, but nonetheless floating towards them with their hands up over their heads like a baby or something.
That's the most aggressive way to surrender possible.
Yes, he's just like floating slowly towards them with his arms up like, I surrender. I surrender.
Oh, Billy Joel, I don't think he's surrendering.
Well, you know what to do is pop out that shotgun, buddy.
But that probably didn't happen, though, huh?
It did not happen. No, well,
damn it.
Well, soon. So now that we have introduced the main event, and the aliens themselves, let's take a bit of a detour at this point in the story and describe the physical characteristics of these beings. And as a side note, I will be taking the description from 2 different sketches done by a man named Bud Ledwith, who interviewed Billy Ray and Lucky separately about what they saw. And we will be comparing their descriptions.
Ooh.
First, we have the stature. Both Billy Ray and Lucky said that the creature stood somewhere between 2.5 to 3.5 feet tall, so there was some consensus there. And the color of the creature was described by both as some shade of green, and this is actually where the term little green men was most likely popularized from, some historians say, in the UFO community, because before then, nobody really called aliens little green men. It was this little incident right here, which is actually a fairly popular incident.
Interesting. I wonder too, the more we do this episode and the more I'm like bashing on Kentucky, I'm like, I wonder if actually more like Midwest states are the ones that listen to us, because they're the people where all this alien shit tends to happen to the most.
There's a lot in the Midwest. There's a lot in the Southwest. So those 2 areas, I could see that. Yeah.
Well, sorry, guys.
And as far as the head goes, both men agreed that it was bald and the same color as the body, green, but they differed on the shape. Billy Ray said the chin came to a sharp point, while Lucky believed that the head was completely spherical. It's spherical!
Spherical! Drake and Josh is a great show. It's a shame that Dan Schneider ended up being a complete, like, foot fetish weirdo.
Yep, a foot pedophile.
Yep. It's a shame, but...
You take the 2 grossest fetishes you could possibly have and just mix them into one person, and there you go. I will never... We've talked about this before, I'm sure, but I will never understand feet. Never.
Same. That's definitely one of the fetishes that's kind of, like, it's just bizarre to me. Like, I just don't understand what is so attractive about them. And also, I think this is a point, too, because I know for you, a lot of it's because of the sanitary the element of that, right?
I am a germaphobe.
And that's what's hilarious is you would think, and this is, as I say, truth is stranger than fiction. Nick is actually a very neat and tidy person. I'm actually the really messy, like disgusting one.
You're not disgusting. We just have different ways of organization. You have a way of organizing your room that it's a mess, but you know where everything is.
Right. Organized chaos.
Organized chaos. But me, I just like to have everything just so. because I'm retarded and I can't find things if I have a mess around. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh gosh darn it, what did I do with my car keys? You know?
By the way, it's a yellow card for the R word, Mr. Man.
Dude, I'm going to kill our manager. All
yeah. Can't wait for when he comes out in the next full moon.
And now let's move on to the eyes. So the eyes of the beings were described by both men to be glowing, yellow, and far apart from each other, around 6 inches or so in length. And no, they did not have an extra chromosome. Now let's go to
good workaround.
Thank you. Yeah, I skipped over that pretty hard. Now, there was some differentiation when it came to the nose. A lot, actually. Billy Ray said that the nose was fairly long and tapered to a point with a little ball at the end. Then we have Lucky, who said that the creature didn't have a nose at all.
Now, this is well, it's also like part of me says this is suspicious and that it's just the reason they're getting their stories messed up is because they're making it up. But because that's what happens. But also, too, I think we've mentioned this before, but like adrenaline is a hell of a drug. And have you ever you woke up in like the middle of the night and this is a real story. You know what a parka is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those big fuzzy jackets. They're huge. And if you watch South Park, you know, that's the thing that Kenny wears all the time. You know, it covers his face and everything. So I used to be on swim team. So we all had like a huge parka. And what had happened was I hung it up from my my door frame at night because, you know, we use it after we get out of the water. So it's good to just kind of just let it air out and all that. And so I got up in the middle of the night and went to the bathroom and I was like, I need to go get some water. So I opened my door and all I see is this right in my face, big, shadowy, fuzzy figure. And I swear to God, I almost like fell on my ass. Like my legs almost just gave out because it was so fucking scary. And it was just the parka that was, you know, hung up in my doorway that was on the outside of it. But the reason I'm telling that story is, one, to show you that it does not take a lot to make me wet myself. And two, seeing things out of the ordinary is fucking terrifying. Like, it doesn't matter who you are. You could be the toughest guy in the world. And because it's like, you know, you're a tough guy and like you get into a fight at the park. Yeah, but we know what humans look like. And we know what that dealing with aggressive people is like. But if you just see some weird you look at, you're like, I don't know what the fuck that thing is. And it's coming towards me. Like, to anybody, it doesn't matter how tough you are, like that fight or flight's going to kick in and it's going to be, even if you're a fighter, even if you just run in and punch it, like you're some kind of like animated protagonist or something like that. Like it's scary. And that's going to, if you're in a group of people, your stories are probably going to get a little jacked up because you all saw some same shit. And if any of you guys have ever been mortally terrified before, you could tell it's very easy to lose the details.
Yeah, they're going to get lost in there. So I don't expect they're not artists. They're not like being attacked by something and then being like, what does her nose look like? Yes, I must sculpt it. You know what I mean? No, they're like, how the hell do I get out of here? You know what I mean? So I'm not going to blame them on these, basically. They're fairly similar. And yes, by the way, they were interrogated separately and given these descriptions separately. So they weren't like colluding, at least not at the time.
Yeah, I'm still in the camp of them making it up. But
I know. But there'll be some stuff coming up. There'll be some stuff coming up that could change your mind, mister.
All right. Well, let's hear it.
All right. Well, let's go to the ears. Both men agreed that the ears were long, pointed to a certain degree, and leathery in texture, and they extended far above the crown of the head, about almost a foot. The mouth was another point of disagreement, though. Billy Ray said the creature did have a mouth and that the upper lip was tucked into the lower lip, kind of like you talk like this. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is how I talk, buddy. Hey, man, I know this is your farm, buddy, but my spaceship ran out of gas. I don't even think I can get some from you.
How do they know it wasn't just like the crackheads down the street that are just like fucked up and like carrying like their Yoda dolls above their heads and shit?
That'd be sick. Now, Lucky, on the other hand, said it might have been a thin, straight line for a mouth, but he wasn't even sure if the creature had a mouth at all. Now, as we get further into these observations made by these two men, you'll probably come under the assumption that Lucky's just blind, and we will find that out.
Oh no.
Last thing about the head, Billy Ray said that the being had an antennae, if you will, at the top of the head. And of course, Lucky said there wasn't. Now we're going to move a little bit further down in the body. As if I'm your, this is going to be the midnight edition of Close Encounters of the Podcast kind.
Oh, that's right. We got amateur webcams of all kind of weird, vague goblin creatures galore. Whatever you need, you don't even have to pay for it.
Don't even have to pay for it. Now, as far as the neck goes, both Billy Ray and Lucky said that it didn't have one, like a regular Brock Lesnar. There was just some massive traps there, actually, in their drawings. There was traps on this thing, dude.
They did drawings?
Yeah, they did drawings, yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So these sketches that they both were interrogated for, or interviewed about separately, the artists sketched them. And very interesting, very similar too, but they're jacked. So now, speaking of Lesnar and being jacked, let's move on to the torso. Both men described the creature's upper body frame as powerful and well built. In the drawings, they have pecs, which is awesome.
Oh, it's getting a little steamy in here.
It's definitely getting steamy, dude.
Oh, we moving down lower and lower?
A little bit lower here. Now, the hands were also agreed upon, both men stating that the hands were wide, powerful looking, and had talons on the end of the fingers for nails.
Oh, ladies.
Ladies. And when moving further down the body, we come to the legs.
Oh.
Disappointingly, their legs were nothing like the upper body. Both men said that their legs were very, very thin and spindly, like Hugh Jackman.
The old... I wonder, too, if maybe... Okay, if we're under the assumption these actually are the, like, aliens out there, what if, like, they look all imposing to us, but, like, it's like when you see the guy at the gym who obviously skips leg day, where they look almost, like, top-heavy and stuff like that. And this is just the alien equivalent, where it's like they're just like nerds at the gym and stuff like that who never worked out their legs, and they just so happen to be the ones that we discover. So that's our preconception of the entire species.
That they're just basic gym bros of the universe.
Yeah.
Yes. That's I agree on that very much.
Yeah, that's kind of silly. Like that's okay.
And now we finally come to the feet. My least favorite part of this.
Yeah. Dan Schneider, get the fuck out of here.
Dan Schneider, get your hands out of your pants. Billy Ray said that the feet were actually like two big suction cups, no toes or anything of the sort to be seen. Lucky said that he didn't get a chance to see the feet and he had no description of it. So Lucky's been dropping the ball here on the descriptions.
Fucking Lucky. So typical.
Isn't that an ironic nickname, though? Not very lucky, is he?
Yeah, you're right, dude. This is getting more and more screenplay like by the second. Like those like
I could have made this up and you would have no idea until you Google it later.
Oh, okay. Before we go any further,
you want to make sure this is real before we continue?
Yeah, I was trying to. I know you keep on fucking trying to pitch your shitty fucking your routines and now your screenplays. Let me make sure this is even real before we continue. What is this?
Kelly-Hopkinsville incident.
Okay, the Kelly-Hopkinsville was claimed as a close encounter with extraterrestrial beings in 1950. Okay, fine.
Okay, see, I did not make it up, but I know I made it seem like my own because that's what a writer does.
Right. Yeah, and it just seemed a little too well placed that the one outline that I told you I wasn't going to read, that you would just fucking make your own random ass like Hollywood attempt.
And that's pretty much it for the description of the being. But as a little fun fact, and normally Tasker is the type of dude to point this out, but the Pokemon Sableye is actually based off the appearance of the Hopkinsville goblins.
That's okay. That puts a much better picture in my head that I enjoy. But that's interesting. I didn't know that. And one could argue, I mean, yeah, Pokemon technically is like anime and it is Japanese, but this thing has so much like global popularity. Like, it's like,
I'll even admit, look, I'm coming out to you guys as listeners, as friends of the podcast, everybody listening. Yeah, maybe I like Pokemon. What, you want to give me a wedgie now? What, are you going to come over to find? You're going to find me and then give me a purple Nurple? Because like I'm asking for it, but that's beside the point. The point is, Pokemon isn't that bad because you can listen to it in English. I mean, I don't watch the show. I'm not 6, you know what I mean? But
yeah, neither do I.
I play the games and I enjoy the games. So yeah, fight me about it. Fight me.
Yeah. It's funny to me. I bought one of the more recent ones because it seemed cool and I had like the cash and like they're fun, I guess, but like I don't know, man. I ended up returning it. I didn't finish the game because it's like I don't know.
It doesn't have the same charm as it used to. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and plus those like long form RPGs that don't really have like a very intense, in-depth story. Like it has a story, but that's not really what they're known for. Like I don't know, it's fun, but it's like I just found myself very not motivated to play it. So actually traded it in recently for a Ghost of Tsushima, which that looks fun.
Dude, I love sushi.
Yeah, I bet you do. No, it's a game where you gotta okay, well never mind. Let's just continue on.
All right, well, let's get back to the story now that we have the description out of the way. So as we move on, you guys can picture what we've been talking about this whole time and kind of keep it in your head. So after seeing this creature in the backyard, Billy Ray and Lucky ran back into the house, both fairly hysterical, and tried explaining to the rest of the family what they had seen. And of course, again, nobody believed them. That is, until Lucky's mom, the aforementioned Glennie, which is a weird name.
I was going to say, that's just like a poor attempt at making Glenn a female variant.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? My name is Glenn, and I just had a beautiful baby girl, but I kind of wanted a boy so I could name him Glenn Jr. What's the second closest thing I could... What about Glennie? Yeah. That's a good name, buddy. Hey, Glennie. Yeah, Pop. That's my picture. She talks. Yeah, Pop. That, like Kentucky woman.
Oh my God.
So Glennie, who we mentioned earlier, saw it peering through the door that looks out to the backyard. And as soon as they saw the creature, this is when the war begun that night.
Oh, are we getting to so we're in Act 3 now of the script. We're getting to the big showdown.
We are in Act 3 of Endgame right now, dude.
Oh.
There's going to be a female power scene where all the female heroes get together and say, I don't know. I forgot what they said. I blocked it out.
Yeah, you're not a fan of Captain Marvel, huh?
No. And you know what? I like Captain Marvel as a character. I like all of these people as a character. But the problem is when you force diversity that doesn't need to be there, first off. And second, when the actress who plays Captain Marvel can't take a joke from any of her castmates, and then it's just, dude, she is a terrible human being. And also, if I remember correctly, Brie Larson said that Captain Marvel was not for white men to watch, so I didn't watch it because I was just listening to her. That's what she said verbatim. So,
well. The forced diversity is a whole other conversation that we could probably have off air. But yeah, I have heard she can be a bit insufferable.
Yeah.
But here's a little fun fact that I was talking to my brother about because he used to, before he's working like a normal job now that can actually pay his bills. He actually worked in the film industry for a little bit, and he was saying, and I can't like 100% confirm it, but they were saying that the big reason why, like, because it's like everything nowadays is just like reboot, and like how, like, of course Marvel of course became the forefront of that because all the stories are basically written already. You just got to like reimagine them and like repurpose them, and all the characters are already there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But they say the reason why we live in such a reboot culture is not that there's a shortage of good ideas, but do you remember that huge writer strike that happened in like 2011?
Mm-hmm.
Because of that, a lot of the producers were like, okay, so none of these writers want to like work for us and this and that. Like, well, let's just reboot shit. Like, let's just like redo stuff that already exists. So we don't have to like pay them for their own like intellectual properties and shit. We'll just use stuff that already exists. And then they found out they made a killing on it because they get the nostalgia factor. And that's why like fucking everything, there's so many good ideas that are getting swept under the rug because of all that, and because of all the risks involved with new IPs, they're just like, fuck it. Let's just do what we already own the rights for. We'll just hire writers to just write what already exists, who are huge nerds for the subject anyways, who would like kill for that opportunity. I mean, dude, is when Star Wars got rebooted, like what writer out there wouldn't have wanted to write for Star Wars? So that's why, and it's less risky because it already has a fan base. It already has this and that. And, yeah, it's a sad downward spiral of like how creativity is slowly dying in
creativity is dying and ideology is rising, and those two things are mixing pretty hard in Hollywood right now.
Yeah, no, I would have to agree. It's interesting. It's I don't know. I'm like a big.
This is a big discussion that we should probably also take off air, because I'm going to say some things that shouldn't be heard by the general public about this subject.
Yeah, probably a good idea. But I mean, who knows, man? Maybe I could wriggle in there and make the difference that I want to see.
Me too. I hope you can too, man. Trust me.
Yes, someday. But anyways, back to Glennie.
So yes, as soon as she saw that alien peeking through the back door, that is when everything hit the fan. So they fired a shot through the door at the creature and couldn't quite tell if they nailed it, but they thought they did. So the two men went outside to check, but there was no sign of the being anywhere. Then suddenly, kind of like out of a horror movie, a clawed hand came creeping down from the porch cover above their heads, trying to touch them. They shot through the cover, trying to get the creature, but nothing happened again, and the being floated down to the ground and booked it for the cover of the woods. And I imagine he still had his arms up over his head for some reason.
See, we figured it out. Their weakness is shotguns.
Yes. Well, actually, no, and you'll see.
Oh, it gets deeper?
It gets deeper. So for the next 4 hours, right, all of this began around 7 p.m., okay? For the next 4 hours, the two families were holed up in the house being terrorized by this creature. But it's important to note at this point that the frequency in which they saw the creature moving from window to window led everybody to assume that there was more than one of them out there.
Eek.
So like I said, for damn near 4 hours, these beings would pop up at a window and a door of the house, taunting and terrorizing the families. Basically, I think it was a mix of curiosity and also egging them on to try and get the humans to do something.
Dude,
it's
that's creepy. Yeah, even with guns, that sucks. That's so not okay. That is a typical like horror film right there. Like one of those like those woodsy, like cabin in the woods kind of horror films.
Exactly. Like something that you like, it's one of those things where it starts off and you're like, oh, this will be a fun weekend with another family. And then all of a sudden things hit the fan. You were in the wrong place at the wrong time, you know?
It almost reminds me of two things. It reminds me of Evil Dead, which we talked about last episode, which we both agreed is a fantastic movie. The original, the remake's okay. It's not like unwatchable, but it's definitely, I think the first one's better. And PT, that the playable teasers Silent Hill game that got canceled, where like, because we used to play that game before it got ripped from the market, and like that shit fucking, you'd be walking around and like the room's all dark and suddenly shit's just like popping up in the windows and they're not doing anything. They're just kind of like wiggling, but like it's still like
it's unsettling. It's an unsettling sight. Because if you think about the psychology of it, you're trapped in a house and these things are outside and you feel like you're cornered.
Yeah.
You know, even though you're probably 3 feet taller than them.
And they still got the hands over the head.
Yeah. And they're still just kind of like,
yeah, they're just aggressively surrendering. That's probably how they do it back in their home planet.
Come on, I'm surrendering. I'm outside the window. Surrender.
Yeah. Oh, they don't see me. I better go to this other window to make sure they see me.
So the men would shoot at them, and even when they saw a shot land, nothing seemed to affect the beings. Later on, the families would say that some of the creatures were wearing some form of armor, most likely being the reason the guns had no effect on them. And the reason they think they were wearing armor is because they knew the skin was green, but they would see the torso had some kind of silver. They couldn't get close to it, but some kind of silver something on it that looked like maybe armor or clothing of some sort. And as the fight continued, they knew that in order to get help, they had to leave the house. The Suttons didn't have a phone in their house. Big surprise. And the closest police station was in Hopkinsville. So when there seemed to be a break in the commotion, right? Sometime closer to the end of those 4 hours, they booked it hard for Hopkinsville. They took 2 separate cars and they drove to the police station. And that is where they reported everything that had happened.
Wow. I feel like I mean, easy ending for them, but I think we watched a movie one time where it's like, you know, you everyone makes
it's not over yet though.
Oh, but yeah, quick point, because you make the run for it and stuff, but usually in the movies, and this is the part where we kind of deviate from screenplay, is usually it's like, you know, some shit happens, then 2 of them have to stay behind to like hold them off while everyone else escapes.
Right.
I remember actually we made an agreement that like if we ever found ourselves in that situation, we wanted to be the ones to do it because what better way to go down than with cigarette in mouth and like shotgun in hand, just like fighting off your last stand. Like that's that's getting you into Valhalla shit.
And that's, dude, I would love to get into Valhalla with you, dude. And we can just fight and eat meat all day long afterwards.
That to me, that is the best possible afterlife. Like because you go there in your prime, right? Like you show up and you're just like prime fighting shape and
and you're all ready to go. So basically what you do is you eat a bunch in the morning, you go out and fight battles against the Jotunheim and all these different places, all of the 9 realms. And then at night, even if you die, you respawn essentially, and then you come back and you have a big feast when get drunk and eat a bunch of stuff, and you just rinse and repeat every day. Sounds awesome. It sounds cool, man.
That's the best. And also too, that was a huge motivator for so there's a big Viking belief, right?
It's a very it's Scandinavian. Yep, Vikings all believed in Valhalla and stuff.
Yeah, and that's why they're such good warriors, because it's like they had that in the back of their minds of why they shouldn't like bitch out when shit came down to it. It's like, nah, man, I want that eternal meat. And oh yeah, especially in that show Vinland Saga, they have a lot of that where it's like, they're chopping off people's arms and being like, fuck yeah, gonna make the Valhalla.
What is Vinland Saga? Is that a show on HBO?
It is a Viking anime.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
And you know what, dude? It's great. They don't skimp out on the violence, dude. There's like blood showering everywhere. What's his face? Leif Erikson is a character, and
okay,
it's all historical. Like it's great.
I don't want to hear about it. That made me sad. I was feeling good about Valhalla, and then I realized that the Japanese got their hands on Vikings.
You would be surprised. You might actually, despite your disposition, you might actually enjoy that show. They do a really good job of like, obviously they take like, liberties and stuff, but there's like the whole like the crowns and the wars and the strategies and trying to like outplay royalty, and it's good. I don't know. I think
it sounds like a crappier Game of Thrones that I have to read subtitles for.
Look, it's not like a fucking like like softcore anime porn like dating sim. It's a good show.
Okay. Well, I'll take your word for it, man. I'll take your word for it. Okay.
Yeah, we'll see.
But now let's get into the part of the story that takes place after the initial incident. So when the families reported to the police, as expected, it took a little convincing to get the police to come out to the house, let alone even believe them about the whole event. That's a tough thing to do, is to convince a police officer in Kentucky. I was attacked. Me and my family and our family friends were attacked by little green men.
Sounds like something. Have you had to do that yet?
Not yet. I'm waiting on my chance.
Oh man, I feel bad for those police.
But after a while, the police agreed and made their way to the Sutton house to conduct an investigation. And after a thorough lookabout, they didn't find any traces of the creatures themselves, but there were many bullet holes throughout the house and shattered windows. So that part was at least true.
Mm-hmm.
The police left the house around 2:15 a.m. since nothing more could really be done about the situation. But as soon as they left, the creatures came back, playing with the families just the way they had earlier, looking through the windows and doors, and gunshots ringing out.
Sounds to me like they somebody cut their weed with something else, and as soon as the cops left, it's like, fuck, well, let's roll a blunt, let's see what happens, and then it all happens again. I don't know.
Dude, weed wasn't even around in the 50s, dude.
It totally was. It existed, especially though I know Midwest United States. It's in the 50s. It was super illegal in the entire country, but Midwest especially, like shit. I think you could get thrown in like federal prison for like 20 years in like Texas or something for it.
Woo! Gotta love it, man.
Yeah.
This went on until the sun started coming up, and the creatures disappeared for good around that time. Now, the family somehow convinced the police to get in touch with the Air Force to conduct an investigation. And they did. The Air Force came out the next day, but they didn't find anything. The only thing they found was the destroyed home again.
Oh, shocking.
So you're telling me that there's a chance that these people destroyed their own home to make up a story like this. They just shot holes all throughout their home.
Not sober.
No, but something I left out of the outline, but something that I read was that the sheriff of the police station noted that Lucky, the one that he talked to the most, was definitely sober and seemed coherent.
Seemed. Some people can hold their shit. I don't know.
Although I don't know. A lot when the sheriff of Kentucky of Kelly, Kentucky in 1955 says that he seemed sober because the sheriff was probably plastered too. So
yeah, honestly, yeah. And for all we know, maybe Lucky's the one who dosed them all. Like maybe he was the one who just drugged everybody, and he's just actually playing coy the whole time. Just like in did you ever hear or know about Waiting for Godot, the play?
Yeah, I'm a big play guy.
Yeah, big regular playboy, huh?
Yep, I love all those plays, man. I love going to watch boring plays, and I love watching people live act, and God, it's so good.
Oh, fuck you. But so there is a character named Lucky who is quite literally just like a man slave to this like rich dude, and he just like sits there just like drooling and incoherently, like he just like is basically like one step short of just like a vegetable, except for when they put his hat on, where suddenly he just starts blabbering on these like really long chained together coherent sentences, like about just like philosophy and all this stuff like that. The play itself is a example of absurdism. It was this whole like artistic movement about like basically using the absurd to make a point about things. So it's not just like absurd for absurd's sake. That's just bad art, because good art has at least some sort of intention, even if the intention is to have no intention. And yeah, very bizarre play. But yeah, character named Lucky. Not sure why that was relevant.
Nice.
I guess it was just the name.
You tied it in, dude. You found somebody with the same name.
It's a very famous play, and that's why I just thought it would be interesting how if the Lucky in this ended up being actually a lot smarter than he was giving off, you know?
I don't think so, man. And you'll see why. You'll see why. We'll talk more about the ifs when we get to the end.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, like I said, the Air Force found nothing. During these investigations, the adults of the family were always interrogated separately, and they all had relatively the same story. And to this day, the families have stood by their claims, never wavering, and most importantly, Tasker never looking for financial gain or notoriety from the situation. They actually stayed out of the limelight. Because this was a huge story at the time. There was media everywhere in the town now. There was investigations being conducted, and the family just wanted to stay out of the light. And if y'all break out your notebooks, right, dust off the notebooks, because we're going to go back to our Hynek scale episode. If you remember J. Allen Hynek, a prolific investigator, he even accepted the claims made by the families once he investigated the situation himself.
The man himself at the scene, the man who invented the close encounters term.
Yep. The man himself was like, checks out. All in all, there was no evidence that it happened.
Funny.
Except, of course, for the destruction of the house, which, by the way, would be really stupid to do if you're not looking to get any money out of it, because now you're going to repay to build your house. But there's also no evidence of it being a hoax to this day.
That's fishy. That's...
How so?
Like, I just don't like. I understand aliens and shit have their like their means of doing stuff and leaving no trace and no evidence behind. And I guess, was this before DNA and shit?
Yes, far before.
Fuck. Oh, damn it. Because there's like
getting popular until the 70s. DNA testing and stuff.
Okay, so because I know back then too. That's how a lot of serial killers got away with stuff, was because evidence collecting was pretty a pretty unrefined art at the time, I imagine.
They went a lot on fingerprints and coincidental stuff, which didn't hold up too well.
And if this thing is floating around, like there's a lot of holes that can be made, and there's a lot of like, and if we're dealing with something that might be one step ahead of us, okay, I could see that causing problems and stuff like that. But like, for all we know, they could have just been getting attacked by like neighbors or just some like fucking assholes who are just terrorizing people for funsies. And then when it became a huge deal, they're like, oh, fuck, we just shouldn't. Yikes, this went a little far. And they just didn't say anything about it because it sounds like it's kind of more that small town mentality of, I don't want to be famous. I don't want to have to deal with this thing. I just want to stay in my hometown and, make my living. But in a way, this is like we haven't had a This Is Why This Is Bullshit segment in a long time.
No, we haven't, because I've been converting you.
Is that so?
Yeah. I've been getting into your head.
I just think this is one of the more, because a lot of the things we've been talking about have been relatively plausible in the past, like 10 episodes and stuff like that. But shit like this is like, come on, like, dude, I think jumping to aliens is pretty quick. Like, I feel like practical effects was definitely in use at this point, and
okay, let me stop you there at the practical effects thing. You think, what are we at, a movie set right now? What do you think, that somebody from Hollywood decided to go mess with some family in Kelly, Kentucky with their practical effects, which, by the way, were probably expensive at the time because there wasn't many people doing it?
I don't know. Like, there's got to be a reason why this happened. Like,
I'll tell you why. Because they got terrorized by aliens.
I think they were just fucking scared, and I think they were just probably it was a murder attempt. For all we know.
By who?
By, I don't know, somebody who hated fucking Glenita, whatever the fuck her name is.
Yeah,
Lenny.
What, a bunch of 3-foot skinny midgets that look like Sableye came over and just started trying to kill people?
You don't know that. Maybe that is exactly what happened. Maybe it was like a...
That sounds crazier than the alien theory.
I don't know. At least it could actually happen, traveling, like, I don't know. Were circuses and like freak shows still popular back then?
Actually, believe it or not, Billy Ray and Lucky both worked in traveling carnivals. And that's how they knew each other.
Interesting. And maybe they just pissed off some people there that happened to be 3 foot tall, and they were just like, let's fuck them up. Let's kill them.
Don't you think they'd know the difference between a person and then something that looks like... Okay, when this episode comes live, I will put a picture of it on our social medias so you guys know what the creature looks like.
I thought my fucking parka looked like an 8 foot tall demon. I think a lot of things are possible in the middle of the night when you're tired and scared.
You're blind without your glasses. And
I had my glasses on.
No, you didn't. It was the middle of the night. Don't you sit there and lie to me.
Oh, no, my vision's terrible. I needed to see so I could get the water in my cup.
And second, you did just wake up, and it was the middle of the night. It was 7 p.m. and they were all just finished eating dinner. They weren't that tired. Things couldn't be that messed up in their brains that that they confused midgets with aliens. Unless they really just didn't know what a midget was, like if they've never seen one before.
Well, what time of year was it? Was it summer? Was it?
It was August. It was fall.
August. Okay, so it gets dark. Yeah, it gets dark early, so it could be dark.
Pastor, it's August right now. Where I'm at right now, the sun doesn't go down until like 9 p.m.
Fuck, you're right. I forgot I thought we were still in July for a second.
Man, I don't want to be that guy putting you in a corner, but I'm telling you, I got alien facts. I got facts coming straight, boy. I'm ready. I'm ready to put them all on the table, man. Because this is one of the biggest alien stories in the world, and I will be damned if you sit there and tell me a bunch of carnival midgets for aliens.
I don't know, man. Or for all we know, maybe it was some fucking U.S. experiment shit that got loose.
And it could be, which is also creepy in itself. And I'm not going to deny that because I believe something like that could happen.
Yeah. And then, of course, when the cases got popular, they just found them, neutralized them, and that was the end of it.
Or it could be aliens.
Or it could probably not be aliens.
I'm pretty sure. Look, man. Okay. All right. Look, I think we both made our cases. I think we've made pretty good cases here.
Right.
I know you still think it's bullshit.
Absolutely.
I think it's still aliens.
Well, if it was like, why is it that it only happened once?
I don't know. The thing is, you don't know what the motivation is for different alien species. You don't know. It could be because they were trying to, I don't know, maybe they fed off fear like the monsters from Monsters, Inc. or something. Maybe they were trying to surrender the whole time. And like we were joking about, and they couldn't get their attention. They just had their arms up outside the window every time, and they just kept shooting at them. They're trying to surrender. Maybe their ship ran out of gas or whatever.
I do like the story of them like they're just trying to ask for help, and they're like, oh no, they're trying to kill us now. We better go for this angle so they don't hit us, so we can ask them again.
Exactly. So that could be happening. You never know. You never know what the motivation is.
That's adorable. But also in Monsters Inc., it screams that powered their factories, which the little twist at the end is they found laughter works just as well.
Oh, isn't that just dandy? Sorry I didn't get the fact right about your weird animated movie.
Dude, Monsters Inc. is a good film. I know Pixar is
Racist.
Not always on it. What? Pixar isn't all there. Not everything they make is a knockout of the park, but Monsters Inc. is definitely a winner for sure.
You know what? You're a winner in my book, Tasker.
Oh, thank you.
Well,
much appreciated. Watch Vinland Saga.
No, I'm not watching it. No, I don't love you that much. Well, everybody in the world that just listened to this episode, who do you agree with? Okay, I know it's been a while since we've done a little bit of debate on something that exists or not. So I want to know, who do you agree with? But that ends the tale of the Kelly-Hopkinsville incident.
Yeah, it's kind of a nice throwback. This is kind of like how we used to do it. Like when we would it's just some creature that a very vague believability and just kind of going at it. It feels good, man.
Feels good. It feels good to stretch out the old intellectual muscles, and you're using rationale, and I'm using pure intuition and instinct.
Which one could argue the combination of those two makes for an unstoppable warrior of death and destruction.
Just like Hitler.
Just like Hitler.
And speaking of Hitler, Count Chocula episode is in the works.
Mm-hmm.
There is new evidence that we are adding to the outline. I don't want to give too much away, but Tasker, I know I sent you that article about how Count Chocula was actually the assistant at one point for Dr. Mengele. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
So technically, he was one of the worst human beings on the planet because he helped Joseph Mengele do all of his really messed up experiments on humans.
Oh, I heard he was like the one who helped like restrain him, all the subjects and stuff like that.
Oh, he would like hold them? Oh my
God.
Yeah.
While they like put the chains on and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not good. So Count Chocula is man, we were pulling a lot of dirt out on him, and it does still have me worried about our safety a little bit.
Well, yeah, and also some of you might be wondering, like, how the fuck could he have been alive back then? We've discussed vampires; they live pretty long. Like,
yeah,
it's been really tough, especially like I know trying to find where he came from and the man he used to be was, and like, oh, you thought Count Chocula is his final form. Like, obviously that's the worst of it, but I mean, the man he was before he got converted into his chocolatey vampire persona, not too much better.
Not better at all.
Mm-hmm. But, like we said, we're digging. That's more of like deep history stuff. Like we actually have to go through like, long, like canceled news reports and like clippings and shit like that because, they've been trying to cover this shit up let's just say this is going to make Illuminati look like a point and click 8+ adventure.
Yeah, it's going to look like the UN after we're done with our Count Chocula story. So stay tuned for it.
Yeah, please hang in there. It's going to be great. But till then, please rate and review on iTunes. A 5-star would be fantastic. Help us build our little community we got here. Spotify, you could shoot us a follow. That would be lovely just as well. Instagram, we have @CEOTPK. Twitter, @CEOTPK1. You can follow us on Facebook, Close Encounters of the Podcast Kind. If you're the kind where you just like to click on the link and open the episode from there instead of searching for it on Spotify, that is a great way to do that. Have any questions, concerns, or you just want to talk, email us at ceotpk@gmail.com. If you want to talk to us in a more live setting and maybe even send us funny memes or whatever you're thinking, discord.gg/lowercase b, number 6, capital C, capital T, number 5, capital M, capital X. If you feel the need to toss us a couple dollars, we have a coffee, ko/fi.com/CEOTPK. You don't have to. It's more than enough that you're here listening to us, but feel free if you'd like to. And
and yes, if you want to hear me, your boy Nick, narrate short horror stories that I write and that other people write, check me out on YouTube at Creepy Neeki. That's Creepy Neeki.
Yeah, no, Nick's been really like going ham on these things. I know both of us have been kind of like looking to diversify, do some work outside of the podcast. So it's like, if you like our voices and you want to hear more of them in different settings, we'll keep you posted.
Yeah, we'll be on YouTube. So really appreciate all you guys listening. Sorry if I offended anybody today. I'm just going to make that a new closing. I'm just going to be like, sorry if I offended anybody.
I think that's a good habit.
And again, for those who donate, we really appreciate it. And I know that the whole bit I've explained before is to get coffee with it. I will get coffee with it. So just know that it will be put to good use.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
And you know what? Even if you think it's a midget or if you think it's an alien, just know that the truth is out there somewhere in Kentucky.
It's all practical effects by Jack Daniels. It's not. Gives the old 2 fingers up the rectum to make sure that we're doing okay.